Welcome back to CFB Nation on the T2T Network. I am your host, Nino Brown. I'm with my co-host, my guy, my brother, Boomer, aka Jared Gray. How we doing tonight, buddy?
I'm great. Super excited about this. Some people won't be excited about it though.
Yeah, I don't know. I said when we started this, I didn't want to be vanilla and be like everybody else, right? I didn't want to. We were going to be us, and we weren't going to sugarcoat things. And sometimes you got to address these stupid elephants in the room. The thing that people just, I don't know, afraid to say. I don't know. It's just weird. But you tend to do this thing to me where you just drop a line somewhere in the chat, text, or even a phone call and just say one thing, knowing that it's going to set me off. And I'm going to be going down a little bit of a rabbit hole and a rant, and that's going to be the end of it. And of course, you just drop me a little knowledge, a little nugget of information. And here we are in an emergency episode of P2P on CFB Nation. So I'm just going to get into it. And you can just choke me out, tap me out, tell me when you want me to stop. All right. Because I think things got to be talked about. I think
it has to be talked about.
All right. So listen, not too long ago, right? Me, you, all these people in this community were very critical of Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M for the mass exodus of the record-breaking recruit class, right? He brought all these guys, broke records, and then within a year they were gone. Was it Jimbo? Was it the program in its entirety? But as time passed and nothing more of the departure came about, it just died. You didn't hear about it again. Let's rewind just 2 months ago. My guy on the side of me, Boomer, was at the NFL Combine and asked Stetson Bennett if there was a culture problem in Georgia. And Stetson Bennett quirked his face up at Boomer as if to say, bruh, like, come on. As if it was like a question out of left field, which was mind-blowing to me because the customs, arts, the social institutions, and the achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group is the meaning of culture, per my good homie Webster, before I got on the show, told me. So no, the question wasn't out of left field or odd, considering Stetson Bennett had been arrested for public intoxication and was Goldberg speared by the police officer that same night. And then a few days later and before, DL Jalen Carter had turned himself into police for leaving the scene of an accident following the national championship. And then new transfer wide receiver Rara Thomas had been arrested for false imprisonment and misdemeanor battery. So yes, it wasn't an odd question. And to me, it was odd that people found it strange. Boom. Like, why? Tell me, am I odd? Am I wrong for thinking this?
100% not wrong. Listen, I'm going to ask the question that people are worried about asking. Listen, we're not here to sit back and relax. We want to ask the tough question. And if you're going to give me this, that's not a thing. It's not if you didn't give me that look, it'd be different.
Right.
But when you rolled your eyes, knowing in the back of your head that you were part of the problem, and your buddy, who we weren't even allowed to talk to, they pulled off the stage, didn't even let him speak because we knew everybody was going to ask him the question. There's a reason why I asked it. So there's a culture issue. Is it a culture issue? Well, here's my question to you. Let's just get down the rabbit hole. We got A&M. We got Georgia. Now we got a new issue at Alabama with their basketball and baseball program. Does the SEC have a culture problem?
So you're right. You're right. In present day today, May 4th, right? May the 4th be with you, my good friends. The allegation, sir, for the Bama coach, Brian Bohannon, was fired for violating standards, duties, and responsibilities expected of university employees. Can you sugarcoat that any other way? My man was fired for betting against his team and winning because there was 2 large bets put in the day of against Alabama on LSU when they were minus 245. So anybody who does any kind of gambling here knows that they were a big underdog at minus 245, and they were late bets, and they came into the Ohio district, and they were reported. And then now he's suspended, and as I read, I believe he got fired as of just recently. So That happened, right? Rewind a few months ago. Alabama basketball head coach Nate Oates allowed star player Brandon Miller to continue to play after he was linked to a fatal shooting and allegations that he drove the weapon to the accused shooter. The next game, Miller comes out to a pregame pat-down as his entrance, and then he went on to be SEC Player of the Year. Is there a culture problem in Alabama? A sudden massive flux in the transfer portal from Nick Saban, as 7 4-star recruits have left. Only 2 came in. 7 3-star recruits are out, and only 2 came in. So simple math, Boomer. When I add it up, that's 14 out. That's 4 in. You're in the red 10. Bama's never in the red. Bama's always in the green because Saban doesn't like to be in the red unless it's the color on his jersey. JoJo Early, Trey Sanders, Trajan Holden, Tommy Brockenmeyer, Aaron Anderson, and more. People are gonna tell me, oh, the culture, but they brought in Tyler Buckner. Bro, fade me with that. Because the only reason he's there, right, is because Tommy Reese is there. And he was the OC last year for Notre Dame. And he looked at him and said, these guys aren't my guy, that's my guy. But then Saban decided that he wanted to take shots at his own guy in the same community, in the same school, Nate Oates. When his guy, right, DB Tony Mitchell, was suspended for having $7,000 cash, 226 grams of marijuana, and a loaded gun. Was that smoke? Or was that his way of shading the fact that his guy that he recruited is now part of this culture problem? So, are we now waiting for the next hammer boomer to drop on Alabama sports program or as a whole? Or is it Nick Saban as solid as an MFer that the issue doesn't flow down in the football side of things?
So, I mean, maybe Nick Saban has really good Aflac coverage and he just isn't worried about this. But let's be real. If you see an issue in one school, then 2 schools, then 3 schools, then within that 3 schools, you have 2 issues in 2 schools. We've got 5 issues. My biggest question is, where's the SEC president not saying a freaking word about this? That dude, hey, it's quiet as a church in this mother lover.
You know what I mean? Crickets. It's that meme where it's just a cricket chirping. That's all you're seeing out of the SEC big chambers right now.
It was Apollo in this thing, a little bit ago, to quote, pull all junkies. And now it's quiet as a church in this mother lover. So I just have a huge issue with, we're just sweeping this under the rug. Now and I understand the SEC is the powerhouse of all powerhouses in football, right?
Yes.
But we've got an issue right now. And if we can't talk about it, we can't, pull this in, what's the point?
I feel as though people seem to want to live in a bubble. They choose to not want to see it. They choose to just want to live the fandom life. Oh, but they win football games. They do this. But Alabama and Georgia have gotten a little bit too big for their britches. And I feel someone has to give them a reality check. But don't get me going about the gentleman in East Lansing either. Because I think he might be part of the culture problem as well. There's a culture issue, and it needs to be addressed, Boomer. I don't know why people let it slide. I'm glad that you put this in my lap and let me run down this rabbit hole. I'm fired up about it. I just don't understand why it's so hush-hush. Something needs to happen.
I'm with you. If we don't see at least, I know that we're not going to be the only people to talk about this. I'm willing to bet a certain friend of ours is going to talk about it as well. Shout out to my buddy Jake. He don't mess around.
No.
And I think that's where we all click, is we're here for the smoke. And I'm sorry, Alabama. I'm sorry, Georgia. I'm sorry, A&M. And to be honest with you, I'm sorry, LSU, because how did that get swept under the rug too? Because let's be real, there's a reason why Keyshawn Butte shipped his Butte. You know what I mean? That dude need to roll out for a reason. Maybe because he showed his Butte a little bit.
There's things that happen, like I said, there's things that happen that just happen to just, and we don't talk about it no more. And I don't understand it.
It's crazy to me. I mean, maybe it's because all this stuff happened in Tennessee with certain cops, but maybe we should be talking about the 5 people doing the same thing at LSU. So
they dragged Manti Te'o through the mud over a fake girl, like the college football did, like the NFL, everybody did.
It ruined his life.
We're talking about these young men who I feel like are getting misguided because they're letting them think that they're allowed to do things with no repercussions. And then what? You're going to give them a bag and send them to the NFL and think they're going to be okay. And they're going to say, oh, they're troubled guys. No, they didn't get guidance when they were needed to get guidance. It's not all about playing football. That coach is supposed to be like a leader, a father figure to these dudes. Like, if you can't do that, then you shouldn't be there.
Yeah, I just think there's some writing on the wall. Like you said, we've seen 25 transfers. 5 come in from Alabama. We've seen no transfers from A&M. 3 come in.
Right.
And
right.
There's writing on the wall, but we're not talking about it enough. So that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And this needs to be brought up. There's a culture issue, not just in some programs. It's the big dogs in the SEC right now.
P5s have a culture issue. This is a problem with a lot of major schools in the P5 system. We're bringing it. When there's smoke, there's fire. We don't shy away from anything. It's P2P. It's CFB Nation on the T2T network. Often implicated, never duplicated.
Duplicated.
Welcome back to CFB Nation.